Hey class, so the next thing I'm going to show you is not on the drawing itself, but it is in the instructions that we have to add these notes, this series of notes, to the drawing. So you have to know what you're looking at. So this first one here, let's start with that. It's 12-inch poured concrete wall reinforced with 2 mats, number 5s each way. I'm actually just going to copy that. And then I'm going to go to my text button on my quick access bar. That's how I usually place text. I'm going to change my leader to a leader with 2 segments. I like to use both of these I like the leader to come off of the top line, whether it's coming off the left or the right, and the rest of this is pretty good. I'm also going to check my type. It should be 3/32 Arial. So this is a note for the foundation wall. So I can click on the foundation wall, click my second point. I always make my my leader on an angle, and then my landing is straight, and then I can put my note in. And I actually just copy and pasted that note from the PDF. Hit enter. Actually, don't hit enter because that won't do anything. You have to actually click outside of the text to place it. Now you can see that this is obviously a large note that gets in the way of things. So what we can do is we can make this the text box. We can drag the handles of the text box to make it smaller. We could probably move it over a little bit. The other thing I like to do is if it's on the left side of the drawing, I like to make it right justified. And you should never cross a dimension line with a leader. So this note should be within the dimension line. So we're going to move this somewhere around there. I'm going to get this further away so that it's clearer. Might actually move my dimension here down. So I'm going to adjust all this to look a little bit better. And then I can just pull my dimension string out here beyond. My next note is the concrete footing note. So let's get that one in. So note this up. So here's the concrete footing. I can do that underneath my drawing. And again, I can adjust this so that my text box is a comfortable size. Now let's do a few others. So I did a few more off camera just to quickly show you how this works, or how your text should look. You should always align groups of text. So I spend some time thinking about where I can place these notes that make the most sense to have the shortest leaders so that they're pointing to the right thing. You know, for instance, this 4-inch PVC drainage pipe and the undisturbed soil are related and close together. So I place them close together, and I spend some time thinking about, sometimes I even try to get the angles of my leaders to be the same, and it looks neat that way. And again, my drawings are all about being neat and communicating this detail clearly. So that's an example of what your drawing should look like when you're finished with the notes in place. Now I don't have all the notes, I don't believe, so just make sure that you have all the notes as listed in the instructions. So we have 3 more details to complete. I'm not going to go into as much detail about these because they're pretty much more of the same. Just placing detail components, dimensions, placing all of your notes, so on and so forth. I am going to show a few things that we didn't go over in this detail. So for this detail, we actually show the column base plate and the grout underneath. So let's go to that section. I'm going to, again, change this to 1/2 inch equals a foot just to get it looking correct. Bring my crop box in. Change my detail level to fine. So the way that we're going to show that base plate is with a masking region. We haven't used these yet, so annotate region, but I'm going to click the down button and click masking region. Now, masking region is just basically a white space that blocks everything behind it, and the edges of that space are defined with a line style. So we are going to choose a medium line for now. We're going to look at what that looks like, and we're going to draw a rectangle. Our base plate is 3/4 of an inch by a foot, so we can actually, I'm not even going to type that in, I'm just using the on-screen dimensions to create a 3/4 inch by 12 inch base plate, which is not really a base plate, it's a masking region. And I'm using a masking region because it's going to block out the column behind it. So now that I have that done, I can hit my green check mark, and now I believe I can use the align tool. Let's try that. AL. I'm going to go to the center line here, and it won't find the center of that, so we can't use my align tool. Simply dragging it, though, you can see that we can get that centered up. So that snaps using the middle point. Now this is from the bottom of the base plate to my my footing is 1 inch, because we have a 1 inch layer of grout, 1 inch non-shrink grout. That shows up in, sorry, I guess these are the notes for that detail. So the way that we show the grout is just with another masking region, and we just kind of show that as a 45-degree angle. So we're going to go back to masking region, and this time we're going to draw lines instead of a box, and we're going to go down at a 45. It should snap to 45. Draw that line. There we go, 45. And there is grout with the base plate. So that's how I did that. The anchor bolts, you'll have to find those when you load family. I believe those are in metals, Division 5 metals, common work results for metals, metal fastenings, and you've got all sorts of bolts and nuts and anchors. So there's an anchor bolt hook side. That's what we're going to use for this, and you can place those. You're just going to choose the right type. Again, I'm not going to show all the details of this section, this detail. Make sure that you go back and place a slab edge around this footing and the pile cap footing that we are cutting through as well, so that we see that slab edge. That's the same that we did for the exterior wall footing. Now, to create the final detail, this is a plan detail. So we don't exactly have a view of this yet that we can start changing to be different scale and all that. So we have to do that first. So let's go back to our foundation plan, and we're going to do that here on the this column B2. And the way that we create that view is we go to View, and we're going to do a call out, and we're going to do a rectangle call out. And all we have to do is draw a small rectangle around that column, and it creates a detail bubble or a call out. Now ours is very small, and we don't really need to show this on the plan, so you could even hide this in the view by element. However, if you notice over here in our plans, we now have foundation plan call out 1. So we can go to that, and now we have just a small detail of that view. We can change our scale to 1 inch equals, oops, that's wrong, 1 inch equals a foot. And again, change your detail level to fine so that you can see the whole column. I drew the base plate in this and the grout edge with detail lines. These 4 bolts are detail items, and that's a pretty simple detail to complete. So at this point, you have all the information, all the skills to complete the rest of these footing details.